Welcome to Storyflix Film, where movies are not just watched in a broken bar, they are experienced. Here, we bring you fast, powerful, and engaging movie recaps, turning full films into short, exciting stories without missing the thrill. From action-packed blockbusters to emotional dramas and mind-blowing sci-fi, we break it all down in a way that keeps you hooked till the end. So sit back, relax, and get ready, because every story here is a cinematic journey in minutes. Home Alone 2, Lost in New York is a 1992 Americana Christmas comedy film directed by Chris Columbus and written and produced by John Hughes. The sequel to Home Alone 1990, and the second installment in the Home Alone franchise. The film stars Macaulay Culkin, Joe Pesci, Daniel Stern, John Hurd, Tim Curry, Brenda Fricker and Catherine O'Hara. The story follows Kevin McCallister as he is separated from his family on their vacation to Miami, Florida, and ends up in New York City. While initially enjoying his newfound experiences, Kevin soon encounters the wet bandits again after their escape from prison. Hughes finished writing the film by February 1991. After signing a six-picture deal with 20th Century Fox. Culkin's return was confirmed in May, and the rest of the cast was finalized soon after. A principal photography took place between December 1991 and May 1992 on location in Illinois and New York, including at the Rockefeller Center and the original World Trade Center. Home Alone 2A was theatrically released in the United States by 20th Century Fox on November 20, 1992. It received mixed reviews from critics. However, Home Alone 2A grossed over $359 million worldwide. It became the third highest grossing film of 1992. Home Alone 2A is the only Home Alone sequel to feature the majority of the cast from the first film. Home Alone 3A, 1997, featured a new cast and characters, and the television film Home Alone 4A, 2002, recast returning characters from the first two films to new actors. Plot: in Chicago, the McCallister family prepares to spend Christmas in Miami, Florida. Kate and Peter's 10-year-old son Kevin is unhappy, believing Miami lacks the traditional Christmas atmosphere of snow and trees. During a school Christmas pageant, Kevin's oldest brother Buzz humiliates him in front of the audience. Kevin retaliates by shoving Buzz, inadvertently knocking over the entire choir and ruining the event. At home, Kevin refuses to apologize and berates his family for accepting Buzz's insincere apology and for vacationing in Miami. Kevin storms off to the attic, wishing he could spend the holiday alone. During the night, Peter accidentally resets his alarm clock, causing the family to oversleep again. In the ensuing chaotic rush through the airport, Kevin mistakenly boards a flight to New York City while carrying Peter's bag, which contains his wallet. Initially frightened upon arrival, Kevin soon realizes that he has the freedom to celebrate Christmas on his own terms. Kevin tricks a desk clerk at the Plaza Hotel into giving him a room using Peter's credit card and explores the city. During a walk in Central Park, he is frightened by a homeless woman surrounded by pigeons. Meanwhile, the McCallisters realize Kevin is missing and alert the police after arriving in Miami. On Christmas Eve, Kevin visits a toy store and meets its kind-hearted owner, Mr. Duncan. He learns that the store's Christmas proceeds will be donated to a children's hospital. Mr. Duncan gifts Kevin a pair of ceramic turtle doves, symbolizing eternal friendship, and encourages him to keep one and give the other one to someone special. Outside the store, Kevin encounters Harry and Marva, criminals he thwarted the previous Christmas, who have recently escaped from prison. They threaten Kevin, who flees back to the plaza. When hotel staff confront him about Peter's credit card, which has been reported stolen, Kevin escapes. He is recaptured by Harry and Marv, who reveal their plan to rob the toy store, but Kevin manages to slip away. The McCallisters travel to New York and stay at the plaza while Kate searches the city for Kevin. Kevin takes refuge in his uncle's vacant townhouse, which is under renovation. In Central Park, he befriends the pigeon lady, who explains that her life fell apart after being betrayed by someone she loved. Kevin encourages her to trust others again and takes her advice to perform a good deed by stopping Harry and Marv's planned robbery. After rigging the townhouse with the booby traps, Kevin interrupts the robbery by throwing a brick through the toy store's window, triggering the alarm. He lures Harry and Marv to the townhouse, where they are repeatedly injured by the traps. Kevin calls the police and leads Harry and Marv to Central Park, but slips on ice and is captured. As they prepare to kill him, the pigeon lady intervenes, pelting the pair with birdseed that causes a massive flock of pigeons to attack them. Before the police arrive to arrest Harry and Marv, Mr. Duncan later finds Kevin's apology note attached to the brick, explaining his actions. Remembering Kevin's love of Christmas trees, Kate goes to Theo Rockefeller Center Christmas tree, where she reunites with him. They apologize to each other and reconcile. On Christmas morning, a truckload of gifts from a grateful Mr. Duncan is delivered to the McCallister's hotel room. After celebrating with his family, Kevin visits the pigeon lady in Central Park and gives her one of the turtle doves as a token of friendship. Cast Macaulay Culkin as Kevin, a 10-year-old boy. Sense Joe Pesci as Harry, a thief and one of the Sticky Bandits duo. Sense Daniel Sterna as Marv, a thief and the other half of the Sticky Bandits. Sense John Hilda as Peter, Kevin's father. Sense Catherine O'Hara as Kate, Kevin's mother. Sense Eddie Brackena as Mr. Duncan, the proprietor of Duncan's Toy Chest. Sense Stephen Rea as Buzz, Kevin's oldest brother. Sense Kieran Culkin as Fuller, Kevin's youngest cousin and the son of Frank and Leslie. Sense Jerry Bamana as Uncle Frank, Kevin's uncle and Peter's older brother. Sense Rob Schneider as Cedric at the bellhop at the Plaza Hotel. Sense Dana Iva as the desk clerk at the Plaza Hotel. Sense Hilary Wolf as Megan, Kevin's oldest sister. Sense Tim Correa as concierge, Mr. Hector the concierge at the Plaza Hotel who is suspicious of Kevin. Sense Brenda Frickra as Pigeon Lady, a homeless woman in Central Park. The McCallister cast also includes Maureen Elizabeth Shea as Lenny, Kevin's older sister Ray Michael C. Marana as Jeff, Kevin's older brother Terry Snell as Ann Leslie, Kevin's aunt Jedediah Cohen as Rod, Kevin's older cousin and the older son of Rob and Georgette Mozessa as Tracy, Kevin's older cousin and the oldest daughter of Frank and Leslie Diana Campino as Sandra, Kevin's older cousin and the middle daughter of Frank and Leslie Anna Slotka as Brooke, Kevin's younger cousin and the youngest daughter of Frank and Leslie. Other cast include Essa Rafugia as Johnny, credited as Gangster, a gangster from the fictional film Angels with Even Filthier Salsa, the sequel to Angels with Filthy Salsa from the first film. Claire Hoke as Gangster A Dame, Johnny's girlfriend from the fictional film Angels with Even Filthier Souls, and Donald Trump as himself, owner of Thea Plaza Hotel who directs Kevin to the lobby. Production in February 1991. The Los Angeles Times reported that John Hughes was to sign a 6-picture deal with 20th Century Fox. Among the projects was a sequel to Home Alone. May 1991, A. Macaulay Culkin was paid $4.5 million plus 5% of the film's gross to appear in the sequel compared to $110,000 for the original. The production budget was $28 million. Principal photography took place from December 9, 1991, to May 1, 1992. Over the course of 144 days, the film was shot in Winnetka, Illinois, O'Hare International Airport in Chicago, Evanston, Illinois, Chicago, and New York City. According to director Chris Columbus, Donald Trump, the owner of Thea Plaza Hotel at the time, allowed the crew to shoot scenes in the hotel lobby and one of its suites in exchange for a cameo appearance in the film. In addition to the standard fee for film productions, Joe Pesci suffered burns to his head while filming the scene in which Harry's hat is set on fire. Music: John Williams returned to Scaria Home Alone 2, as well as other festive tracks. While the film featured the first film's theme song Somewhere in My Memory, it also contained its own theme entitled Christmas Star, lyrics by Leslie Bricusse. Two soundtrack albums of the film were released on November 20, 1992, with one featuring Williams' score and the other featuring pop music featured in the film 10 years later. A 2-disc deluxe edition of the film score soundtrack was released by Avare-Diarisis Se Saraband. Score. Original score. Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. A original Scaria is a 1992 soundtrack composed and conducted by John Williams, who also scored the first installment in the franchise, and performed by the Hollywood Studio Symphony. While the soundtrack is mostly a repeat of the first film's material, there are a few new prominent themes such as Christmas Star and Plaza Hotel and Duncan's Toy Store. Ultimately, the soundtrack fell out of print. Home media: the film was first released by Fox Video Anopsa and Laserdisc on July 27, 1993. It was later released in Odvton on October 5, 1999, as a basic package. The film was released in a Blu-ray on October 6, 2009, with no special features, and was released alongside Home Alone in a collection pack on October 5, 2010. The film was reissued again on DVD and Blu-ray on October 6, 2015, alongside all 5 Home Alone franchise films, titled Home Alone 25th Anniversary Ultimate Collector's Christmas Edition. Reception: box office: Home Alone 2 opened with $31.1 million from 2,222 theaters, averaging $14,009 per site. It broke the short-lived record set 1 week earlier by Bram Stoker's Dracula for having the largest November opening weekend. The film went on to hold this record until 1994, when it was taken by Interview with the Vampire. Additionally, it achieved the highest opening weekend for a Chris Columbus film and would hold that record until it was surpassed by Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. In 2001 it started off better than Home Alone, grossing $100 million in 24 days compared to 33 days for the original. However, the final box office gross was lower, with $173.6 million in the United States and Canada and a worldwide total of $359 million, compared to $476 million for the first film. The film was released in the United Kingdom on December 11, 1992. And topped the country's box office that weekend. The film is the third highest grossing film released in 1992, behind The Bodyguard and Aladdin. 40 in the United States and Canada, it grossed more than The Bodyguard and ranked second. He used a Peter credit card to the check in the Ada Puzzle Hotel, not knowing that the waiter Manified also reached the city after apping for the patients. On Christmas Eve, Kevin visits a Toy Story Hosea kindly owner McDonkin plans. On Christmas Eve, Kevin visits a Toy Story whose kindly owner McDonkin planet to donate the day sleigh produced to a children hospital. After Kevin makes a donate, Mr. Donkin gives him a pair of the caricature truth doves in the thanks, instructing him to give one of the another person also gestures of the angel friendship. The conversation at the place confronts Kevin about his use of the Peter credit card, now reported as stolen. Kevin feels at the hotel but is the cash by the body buddies. Marif mentioned his and the Harry planet to rob the Toy Story before Kevin escaped in an encounter with the familiar presenter. So earlier upon landing in the Miami the McCallister his family discover that Kevin is missing and to file police report after the police trace credit card. The familia files immediately to New York man Willie. Kevin goes to his uncle's townhouse only to find at the vacations and Thea in doings as Ravina encounters and eventually befriends Thea pagan lady who takes him to the Central Hall. She explained how her life collapsed when her love left her. Kevina encouraged her to trust people again, after considering her evidence that Hera performance a good deed to make up for his dummy mistakes and the recalling Cat an instant to the donate to Thea Hospital. He decided to prevent the Staria Hope the twice story robbery. Kevin rides at the townhouse with the Bobby traps catch a Harry and the M in the process of Thea robbing the story and bricks at Thea front window to set off the burglar alarm. After talking them pictures he lures them to the townhouse where Thea repeatedly injured themselves in Thea traps. Kevin evidence them calls Thea police from a payphone to alert them to the phone to alert them to the pier presence and flee towards Central Park. Harry and the M caught him after he sleeps on the ice and they prepare to shoot him. The pagan lady throw a packet of Thea bear birds on them, pins and the flees towards Central Park. He and the Mar catch him after the slips on the ice and they prepare to shoot him. But the pagan lady throw a bucket of Thea beards onto them attracting a massive flock of the pagans and the inn captains of the pier until the police arrive to Thea arrest them. Kevin sleep away leaving a photographs and the tabs record evidence against Harry and the Mar and the Marva. Duncan recovers the donations money and the find not from the caving explaining the broken window. The familia arrived in the New York and the catch remembering Kevin found from Thea Christmas trees finding him making a wish at the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree. On Christmas morning, a truck of free gift grifted arrive at the McCallister's hotel room sent from a grateful McDonkin from the falling Thea robbery. Kevin's reconnal with his Thea family and gives one of his truths to the pagan lady committing their Thea friendship. McClin is the Kevin at 10 years old boy Vida pretends from the creating a harmful inventions Joe Petzl as a Harry a thief Dream as a thief and Thea Harry Potter's Kristen's or as a catch Given's mother's John of Peter Kevina father Dion Ritter as the bus Kevina oldest brother who often gets into Thea trouble even through instigate trouble with the Kevin High Wolf as Megan Kevin oldest sister. A production in February 1991 Los Angeles Times reported that the John Hughes was to sign a 6 pictures deal with the 20th Century Fox. Among the project was a sequel to Home Alone. In May 1991, Klinkler was paid $4.5 million plus 5% of Thea film gross to appear in the sequel compared to the $110,000 for the original. The production budget was the $28 million. Principal photography took place from the December 9/11 to May 1992 over a course of the 144 days. The film was shot in the Whitting's Elevations O'Hara International Airport. Principal photography took place for Thea December 1991 to May 1, 1992 over a course of the 144 days. The film was shot in the Victims O International Airport in the Go Western Television set and New York City. According to Thea directors Columbus Storms, the owner of the Plaza Hotel at the time, allowed the crew to show scenes in the hotel lobby and one of its society is the exchange for a combo in the film and the additions to the stands free or for film productions. Texas to his the head a while film the scenes in the wild area head is set on fire. John Wilson written to the score Home Alone 2, while the film features the first film them song Somewhere in Thea Memory. It also connected its own theme at Crystal Star to the soundtrack. Albums of the film were released on the 28th November 1992 with one the featuring a Williams score and the other featuring a contemporary Christopher songs featurette in the film. 10 years later, Arta discuss editing of the film's Scaria soundtrack. John Wilson's return to Thea Sky Home Alone 2, While the film features the first film theme song is Somewhere in the Memory, it also connected its own theme in Christmas Star. 2 soundtrack albums of the film were released on November 20, 1992, with the one featuring Wilson's score and the other featuring contemporary Christmas songs featured in the film. 10 years later, a 2-disc deluxe editing of the film soundtracks was released, marketing numerous video game based in the Home Alone 2 were released by the DHQ for such system as the Sega Genius, the Nintendo Entertainment System, the Super Nintendo Entertainment System's Gambia, and the personal computer, mostly in late 1992. A spare handheld game was released by the Tiger Electricians. Numerous board games were also released, some the Beast Around play cards Willy, another was a clone emulations of the classic Mousetrap. The Dark Boy Castle record was to produce as a tie-in for movie by the electrician based on all the specifications providing by John Hughes in the movie studio, and subparticles reel after the film was released on the home video. Additional permission partners included Americana Airlines, through which the McCallisters make their trip to Boeing 767-8 the Coca-Cola Company, Jack and Thea Box Harders, and the Roy Regards Home Media. The film was the first released by the Fox Video on VHS, and The Lizard Dies on 27th of July 1993. It was later released on the DVD on the 5th October 1999 as a base package. The film was released on the Blu-ray on 6th December 2009 with no special features, and was released alongside Home Alone in a collection pack on the 5th December 2010. The film was released again on the DVD and the Blu-ray on 6th October on DVD and the Blu-ray on 6th October 2015 alongside all 5 Home Alone franchise film title Home Alone 25th Anniversary, ultimately with the $31.1 million from the 2,222A theaters, which 40,008 per second. It broke the short life record week earlier by the Bronze Stalker truck for the having the Logs November opening a weekend. The film went on to head its the record and in 1994 when it was taken by The Interview with the Vampires. Additionally, it achieved the highest opening weekend for a Chris Columbus film, and would hold that record until it was pierced by the Harry Potters and the Sector Stir in 2001. It started a Chris Columbus film and would hold that record until it was pierced by the Harry Potter and the Sector Stir in 2001. It started off better than the Home Alone, crossing $100 million in the 24 days compared to the 33 days for the original. However, the final box office gross was the lower, with the $173.686 million in the United States and the Canada, and worldwide total of the $359 million compared to the $476 million for the first film. The film was released in the United Kingdom on the 11th December 1992 and dropped the country box office that weekend. The film is the third highest crossing film released in 1992 behind The Background and The Additions in the United. It topped the country box office that weekend. The film is the third highest crossing film released in 1992 behind The Bodyguard and The Aladdin in the United States and Canada. It crossed more than The Bodyguards and ranked second to critical response on the Rotten Tomatoes. The film has an approval rating on the Rotten Tomatoes rated to date, based on the Temple rated Tower review with an average rating of the Temple rated 8. The site critical concerns read a change of venance and the more similarly anti-aliens can observe the fact that Home Alone 2 and on Rotten Tomatoes. The film has an approval rating of the Temple rated 8 on the Temple rated 8 review with an average rating of the Temple rated 8. The site criticals convince readers a change of the venance and the more similarly and devil observes that the fact that Home Alone 2 lose in the New York in a less inspired family offers the reus on the imperance of the metric. The film has a weighted average score of the 46 of 100 based on the 22 criticized indicated mix of the average review. Audience police by the cinema score give the film an average grade of the A negative on a positive to F scale, a grade lower than the film earned by its processors. Hirota Embed of the Chicos in Time Essa gave the film 2 out of the 4 star and started that the cartoons volume Essa only funny in cartoons. Most of the live action attempts to the duplicate animations have failed because we the flesh and the blood figures at the prevent we can almost hear the beans crush and it is not funny. Reviewing for the Los Angeles Times Essa wrote, but whatever was the unforced and the funny in the first film has become excreted here. Whatever was the slightly sentimental has been laid on with our doubles, the result with the some expectations plans like and the over elaborators brought of the first we know remaining is why we enjoy it without being able to duplicate its appeal. The result with the sums expectations float alike and the over elaborated broadio fa the first film why we enjoy it without being able to duplicate its appear. Ta care of the Chico Turbans wrote the sequel plays like a co sensi self-providing versions of the sigilsa in which the fancy elements have become growers and the more and more materialistic, the sentimentally more rich and the aggressive already along the shy intense in the first film, even more graphic and the sadic brain lawyer Ofada Valenti noted the sequel drive and a win the compared to the original film, but wrote the action sequence are well a choreography if perhaps to mean pretty more graphic and the saddle spring lower. Variety noted the sequel dry witness a win they compare to the original film, but wrote and the action sequence area well choreography it if perhaps to mean the preaches even if light of their cartoonish nature. Janet Melia for the New York Times acknowledged that Homia alone too may be a lies convinced, but Ida state with a sense of the agonish and a lot of the holiday cheer returns of the mystic blank in this role Rolisa established even if this alternation comic actor has been given title new to do Mr. Paxi and the Mr. Storm Spring create ghost to their characters stupidly to the point where they area fair been given title new to do Mr. Paxia and the Mr. Friend Spring great ghost to their characters stupidly to the point where they are for funniest just walking and the talking then they are being heard. Reviewing for Time magazines, A. Richard Gere noted Home Alone 2 Pixels followed the formula that made it the biggest crossing comedy in the humana history. But no, it is not a drug and Ida is not a trip-off. Look on it as a twist. Told fairy tales. He praised Hughes and the Chris Colombians and felt that the details of the relations area developed. Widow in the originally ended they are presents within the energy and a convention that sequel of usually lack. Dunes of the Hollywood Reports wrote that while presenter with Enthea energy and a convention that sequel usually lag. Dino Brad the Hollywood Reported wrote that while the sequelina the merely supermentions of the original will be delighted by it, he featured Breeza Clunk as the brightly winning felt the Pisky and distant deserves combine Emily and the cutie surf as a trafficker for Roz Kevin Prunks in recent years. Online reviews have the look more favorable on the film. John Legends of the Empire magazine in 2022 article Why Home Alone 2 lost in New York and Thea better than Home Alone argued that the film was a sequel that they factly also a function as a remark a film that recognized that the greatness a more favorite on the films. John Netsofa the Empire magazine in a 2022 article inter Why Home Alone 2 lost in New York's is better than Home Alone argued that the film was a sequel that effectively also function as a remark a film that recognized that the greatness of word came before and why Zelia knew have close to that the winning a formula as possible also returning Ina the 2022 rear gardens of the clutter note a signification part of the film appeal in the unapologetic and talking everything the love about the first film at 2, a higher level other media see also a Home Alone 3 Home Alone 4 Taking Back Toa the House Home Alone the Holiday Heist and the Home Sweet Home Alone a third film with a new cast. Home Alone 3, a follow in the 1997 A2 television's movie How Alone 4, it taking back to the house and the home Alone the holiday heist air in the 2002 A and 2012 respectively. How Sweet Sweet a Home Alone, the sixth film in the series, was released in 2021. Novelizations. Home Alone 2 was Thea novelized by the Todd Streets and Thea published by the Scholas in the 1992 Toa. The conceded with the film The Pointed version, which has the same story linear, was also novelized by iSinglet Hasa and the ISBN of 598-457,70.9a. 9 and the audiobooks version was also released and by the Cree who play Thea consider in the film as in Thea novelizations of the first film. The McCallister's life in the Oak Park elevations and the Croc are named as the Harry Limbs and the M in the novel also take as a place on the year after the events of the first film but the ages after Thea events of the first film but the ages of the Kevin and his siblings are giving also being 2 years older than the film in the beings of the novelization to a polygraph which ends up being Themarive nightmares in the Persians. He and the Harry sneaks away from the cops and return to the cabin house to Thea seek revenge on the cops and to the crates with the M and the Harry in the plot pursued Harry and the Mafia and the untragging extra traps that Thea Kevin set up in the grabs. Gavin watches as the meth ends up triggering a trip where a running lamb overfalls on his head. This was a trade features in Thea Home Alone 3. Home Alone 2 troves buzzy holiday box office. Home Alone 2 lost in the New York lead the way to record setting. Thanks to Sing's holiday box office with a stunning $39 million $2,231 screens during the Wednesday through the Sunday period. The overall 5-day box office total was close to the $130 million, easily beating the $18 million market set during the 1998 Thanksgiving weekend, and the setting the start forward could be an even stronger than the Thanksgiving, music, Christmas holiday seasons that the last year that the best in the history's Home Alone 2, which opened with a 3-day gross of $31.1 million last weekend and nearly duplicated that the number with the $28.60 $6 million for the Friday through the Sunday period that brought its the 10-day total of the $74 million the 20th Century for a release back by the Warner's Market Comparia and the Good Evil for the 1990 original has a good shot at the opening $2,000,000 million of the 20th Century for release backed by the inner marketing champion and Thea Goodwill from the 1990. The original has a good shot at a topping $200 million in the domestic gross. The original took in the $285 million, making it the third biggest movie of all time, but need 23 days to make it the first $75 million. Home Alone 2 delivered just one of the survival remarkable of performance 1,131 screen during the 5-day holiday period after setting record screen run. That a total was well above the $50.50 million, a record opening for an animated film set last year's by the Studio Beauty and Thea Beast and Dusty projections of the $28 million. We are ahead of what we accepted, said Richard Coop, head of Thea Destiny Distribution's arm. The opening weekend success of the Aladdin is nothing short of the extraordinary. The film appears headed for a strong gross because of its ability to attract well beyond its core audience of the childrena and should grow somewhere around the $145 million that Home Alone to deliver just one of the survival remarkably performance. Destiny merch praise the animated Aladdin took $25.1 million out of the just $1,133 screens during 5 days holiday period after setting records during a 2-screen run that the total was well above the $50.5 million record opening for an animated film set last year by the Studio Beauty and the Beast and industry projections of the $20 million. We are way ahead, Head of Word We Accepted Side Richard Cook, head of the Destiny Distribution's arm. The opening a weekend success of the Aladdin is nothing short of the extraordinary. The movie appears head of the strong grows because of its the ability to track moviegoers well beyond its score. Audience of the children's and they should grow somewhere around the $145 million that the movie appears ahead for a strong across because of its ability to track movie goals well beyond its score. Audience of the children's and should grow somewhere around the $145 million that the beauty took in. Cook said about a 800 screen will be added to on December 18th. Running a close third over the weekend was the opening of Warner Brothers' romance action film The Bodyguards with at the $24.40 $4 million 1,770 screens deposit being hammered by the many criticized the star power of the Kevin McCallister and the pop singer Whitney host in the first film debut to shoot enables Bodyguard to top 68 million by the Christmas 60 million by the Christmas hero of top movies likely to let the box office again next weekend since the only new film opening will be Destiny added Murphy Goes to Wishing a comedy to the Distinct Gentleman at the about 1,900 screens. Murphy has noted had a major scenes coming to America but the film has performed respectively. Columbia Bram-Strs Dracula landed in the fourth place with still a healthy 5 days gross of the $40 million at the $491 screens, netting is the 70 days gross of past $70 million. It should fly past a $120 million by the Christmas. Columbia Brainstalkers Dula leading Ina the fourth place with a still healthy 5-day gross of the $40 million or $2,491 screens. Music Ning is the 70-day gross past $7 million. It should fly past $120 million by the Christmas. Warner Epic McClonax finished fifth with a solid of $150.5 million a day tax at the $1,249 a screen pushing its 12 days total closing to the $27 million. It is not yet clear whatever X will show enough strength in the coming week to justify its $35 million price tag, but it has posted decent numbers so far giving it the 2001 minutes running time. Warner Passengers a 57 movie into the sixth place with the $5.3 million at the $1,854 a screen during the holiday weekend for a 24 days total of the $33.20 $2 million followed by the Columbia River runs through it with a still solid $4.1 million at a $104.1 million at the 1,080 Skins River which has received the River which has received Warsa 57 move into the sixth place with the $5.3 million at the $1,854 a screen during the holiday weekend for a 24 days total of a $33.20 million followed by Columbia. A River runs through it with a still solid $4.1 million at a 1,080 screens. A River which has received high praise from the criticized has now topped a $28 million in cross. 3 fall hits that many have fueled the current success of the box office rounded out of the top 10. For under the 6 hungs with the $3.7 million at the 1,560 screens for in 52 grows if the more than 72 millions folks the last of Fat Timons took in the $2 million at the $1,178 a screen for a 10 week gross of the $68 million and Destiny Hockey Comedy Thea MLG gross $1.60 $6 million at the $1,481 a screens for a 9 week total of $44.4 million. Mir makes the crying game a terror race thriller set in the Northern Ireland's garbles a whopping 150 to 45 at just 6 screens. MGM fifth picking of the steam romance. The lever setting of the Vietnam in the 1992 kept us from Thea Hart with a 372.489 at just 33 screens. The studio may go a wider with the period piece before Thea end of the year. Week gross screens total a gross weekend and release number for Thea passengers 57 and under singers are Thea estimated when Home Alone 2 lost in New York $39 million to 231 a $74.2 million 2 weeks to Aladdin's $25.1 million 137 a $25.8 million 3 weeks. The Bodyguard at $24.40 4 million $7,700 a 1 week. The Bodyguard $24.40 million $70,700 a 1 week. Frame a Doc Dracula $40 million $2,491 a $70 million 3 weeks. Mclin $111.5 a million $1,249 a $26.9 million 2 weeks. Passengers 575 a $5.3 million $1,800 a $54.33.2 million 4 weeks. Music, A Rivera runs through $84.1 million $1.08 so 28.3 million 8 weeks under Sigat $3.7 a million $1,560 a million The Last of the Mohicans $2 million $1,17568 a million 10 weeks. The Mighty Ducks $1.6 a million $1,481 a $44.44 million 9 weeks. Where Was Home Alone 2? Lost in New York. Lost in New York filmed completely. Locations: Gaidia City, New York, USA. Location types: hotel, snorts, mansion, school, concert. Storyfront film studio. Location styles: Kitgut Industrial Hotel style limo. About Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. The movie Home Alone 2 Lost in New York is a comedy film from the 1992. Ida was written and produced by Thea Hughes and directed by the Chersical Umbus. The movie starred Millie Clicks, Ajo Paxi, Catherine O'Hara, Dinah Sts and the John Hart. The film followed Kevin McCallister, who is separated from his family during the Christmas vacations. The film was released on the 20 November 1992. Music by the 20th Century Fox and was a box office success, grossing over $359 million against a budget of the $28 million. The plot of Home Alone 2 revolve around Kevin McCallister, so Macaulay Culkin once again being separated from his family who are going to Florida from the Christmas vacation. Still, he mistakenly boards the wrong plane this time and follow Kevin McCallister, who is separated from his family during a Christmas vacation. The swing was released on the November 20, 1992 by the 20th Century Fox and was a box office success, generating over $359 million against a budget of the $28 million. The plot of Home Alone to revolve around Kevin McCallister, so once again being separated from his family. We are going to Florida for a Christmas vacation. Still, he mistakenly boards the wrong plane this time and he ends up in New York City instead. After enjoying his stay at the Plaza Hotel with his father's credit card, Gavin meets two familiar faces, Harry and the Murph. As the plan drop into the auto mini tri-store with his newly acquired gadgets from the hotel lobby, Kevin must find some way to outfit them again if he wants to save that. He wants to save what left of the Christmas. Home Alone 2 Lost in New York received a positive review at the Citizen Apparossi in the cast performance and so humor that the paid homage to Thea Rower meets two familiar faces, Harry and the Mouth, as they plan to rob and the auto man Story with his newly accurate gadgets up the hotel lobby. Kevin must find way to the auto against if he wants to save what left of the Christmas. Home Alone 2 Lost in New York received positive review with the criticized pacing the cast performance and it's the humor that paid Humatoa the Rower while having an originality to the stand-alone. The film won 3 awards in the 1993 The Movie Film and the TV Award for the Music won by John Wills, the People Choice Award for the Favorite Comedy Motivation sensation picturesque in the Golden Screening Award in Germany. The movie has nominated for the Young Artist Award in the 1994 for the Best Youth Actress leading role in Motion Pictures comedy scenes. Home Alone to Lost in New York locations. Lost in New York is the quintessential holiday movie, and for many of us it brings back fond memories of the childhood Christmas. The classic sequel was filmed in the multiple locations from the Jaguar to the New York City. The backdrop of this movie could not be any more iconic, as it takes place in time of the greatest citizens on the earth. Some of its most famous scenes occur at the Bisex Plaza Hotel on the Fifth Avenue Stancesta are the Rocky Buildings and the Cornada within the Hills and the Towers Hotel. In addition to these popular cities, other memorable setting included International Airport. The backdrop for this movie cloud not to be any more iconic. It takes place in two of the greatest cities on earth. Some of the most feminist scenes, Oscar at the Preston on the Fifth Plaza Hotel on the Fifth Events. Junction and the Twist are Rocky Building and the Kennard Hurton Suita within the Hurton and the Tower Hotel. Music. In addition to these popular cities, other memorable settings included O'Hara International Airport, where Kevin McCallister first arrives, along with his the home located at the 667 locations average in the victims. Furthermore, the Uptown Theaters at the North Board service as the interior for the Din and Twisted, where Kevin meets Old Man. Merely a trip to visit this the place from the movie Wood, where Kevin McCallister first arrives along with his home located at the 671A along with his home located at the 671A line call events and intakes. Furthermore, the Uptown Theaters at the North Broadway Broadway service as the interior from the Dinkins Twist, where Kevin meets Old Man Merely. A trip to visit these places from the movie would certainly be worthwhile for any film fan, especially around Christmas when it's the easy to Maga clusters running around town on his adventure storytelling to Central Park like he did, admitting the 3 Linka walks away and the Preed Lakes or walking past the imposing Trump's Tower on the 5th events, giving you a sense of living and adventures alongside him to get another taste of the knowledge. Visit the Rocky Buildings, where the denim toy chest is also worth visiting. All these places will bring back fond memories and make for an enjoyable experience. The school chore scenes in the Home Alone tour. Lost in New York. Heaven Middle School's 2417 Parader of Alan Kyla. The opening scene occurs at the Heaven Middle School, where the family attends a school course. The exit of the building is shown with its allegiant tickets for that and front entrance inside, and an additional film with people as the cabin performances. The vocal solo. Unfortunately, his older brother Busey causes a distractions by the making a silly noise and the gusters running the performance in the relations. Kevin gets up on the stage and they attack him. In this scene has become iconic for Ida the over-the-top lipstick humor and of citizens as one of the most memorable moments from the movie. The school has 2 floors and the outdoor courtyard are perfect for the filming outdoor scenes. Heaven Middle School is located in the Estona 2470 suburb of the Chicago that is serve as a stand-in for many locations throughout a Home Alone to Lost in New York. It is the easily accessible by car or the public transform from the Chicago City Centers, taking around 30 minutes to reach by car or the by train from the downtown Chico. Music. Kevin McCallister might have been lost in a big city, but he know how to make the most of it. Kevin hears commercials advertising the Plaza Hotel as the wording utmost a thrilling hotel experience in the New York. Before he departs from the Chico, he checks into this hotel using his body credit card and obtains luxurious suites. After ordering and the ice cream sundae buffet via room service, Kevin enjoys swimming in the pool, forging a priority of the angles with the dirt faces. One of the famous entities from Kevin McCallister's might have been lost in a big city, but he know how to make the most of it. Kevin hears commercials advertising the Plaza Hotel as the world-renowned most thrilling hotel experience in New York before he departs from the Chico. He checks into this hotel using his dad credit card and obtain a luxurious suites after ordering and the ice cream sundae buffet via room service. Kevin enjoys swimming in the pool and watching a priority of the angles with the dirty faces. One of the famous quotes from this priority: "This Merry Christmas, you 50 animals, and a Happy New Year." The memorable scene was filmed in the one of the Madden Hotel, the Plaza Hotel located on the 5th Avenue between 58 and the 59 streets on Thea Central Park South in the Midtown. Samanthans complicated back in the 97A Plaza was designed by the Henry Gerard as part of the Freed Law Lampusa Park site vision for the Central Park that would later come to be known as Thea Milestone Road. Due to all complicated back in the 97, the plaza was designed by the Henry Gina as part of the Fredericks Law or Lamstead Park side versions for the Central Park so that would later come to be known as the Millionaire Drop due to all the wealthy people living there. It is now considered other historical landmark. Ida has hosted notable celebrities like the Merlin Moore, North Scott Fitzgerald and the battles for those visitings. These a historical landmark. The Plaza Hotel can be easily accessed by the taking various subway lines included Long Beach branch, a Port Washington branch to the 74 Stab Broadway. You can also opt for a private car ride or the taxi over VI 6th Avenue of the America. After getting comfortable, Kevin's orders hilarious and task and the driver for the Good Twice store. He decide to do the dinner to just decorated for Thea Christmas with a friendly order. Thea store has festival decorations and Thea toys that the capture kids' imaginations elsewhere. Kevin presses green limo go a map of New York and a Swiss Army knife from the Mr. Duncan Harry and the Mouth. After getting comfortables, ordered a lemonades and asked the driver for a Good Toy store. He decided to go to Thea Duncan to just decorated for Thea Christmas with a friendly order owner. The store has festive decorations and the toast. The capture kids' imaginations. A cabin purchase, green slim go, a map of New York, and a Swiss Army knife from the Duncans. Harry and the Moth are also inside Thea store scoutings out there heading placia before their Christmas abyss. Thea exhibited footage for this iconic scenes was the film at the Rocky Building in the Chico located in Thea 2009 South Las Adams Street. A historic landmark in Thea Chico that was completed in the 1888 and the design a National Historic Landmark in the 1975. The movie features the story Unchangia Arisi entrance which has the remain beautiful scenes 1992. This allows Finn to appreciate this executor of Thea locations getting to this location a historical landmark in the 1975. The movie features the story Unchanged arched entrance which has remained beautiful since 1992. This allow fan to reappreciate the executor of the locations. Getting to these locations in the reality easy asa it closed to survival get a bus stop in other webs which can be reached from the various line included 66th and the 90 buses from the nearby stations such as Clark Lake of the State Leg. Ida also near two metro stations, Unikia Station and the Olegit Transportation and the Olegavia Transportation Center. From the comments who prefer real travel. Only of the most iconic moments in the movie in the scenes where Kevin and the Pagans lady listen to the concert together. The Chico Hall rooftop is the absent and the file with the old instruments and the mini quits a secret head with the Sindra that once huge from the cleaning are the still there providing a mysterious and the airy atmosphere to the place as giving and the Pagans lady sit together they talk about being invisible to the world feeling like they don't belong. One of the most iconic moment in the movie the scene where Kevin and the Pigs lady listen to the concert together. The carriage hall rooftop is the abdona and the filled with the odd instruments and the manicures a secret headwave. The chunkletter that the once huge from the calling are still there providing a mysterious and the air atmosphere to the place as given as the pagan lady seated together they talk about being invisible to the world feeling like they don't belong here because she homeless and him because he is the youngest. Listen to a radiation all of the wife for all ye faithful with strength their bonda and the gives them hopes for a better futures. Music. Carriage Hall is located on the 57th Street between 7th Average and the 6th Events in the Miley, New York City. It is one of the most famous venison scenes for the concertary actors lectures or plays in the America with the over a century of history concerted by the Adregia in the 1891 as an homage to his The New Life. Louise Vanga Radio Society of New York. It has been a home to some of the history greatest artists from the Leonard Distance to the Geordie Grand. If you wish to visit a carriage hall, you can quickly get 3 via public transportations or car to reach Carriage Hall in the methods using a public transport. You can use the nearest bus stops 6th Avenue W6SD and the Broadway. You can also take the subway, at the first subway to go to the Music A car hall in the Method. If you area traveling by car, use 8th or Thea 9th Avenue as the alternate roads if the traffic is too bad on the Broadway. There are parking grass nearby if you need them as well. The scenes where Kevin's Bobby traps the bronze is one of the many hill scenes from the Home Alone tour Lost in New York. Here Cabin leads Harry and the Muff on a valid go chases setting up service of traps to the outsmart them. The two blitz area sent trembling into the barrel is blown up by the frizzless acres and fed by other fake police scenes as the simply comedy peaks. These memorable scenes plays out with the plenty of the laugh. This movie emotions on a violet go is setting up a service of the traps to Thea outsmart them. The two bored girls area sent trembling into the barrelins blown up by the freckers and the flute by fakia police siren as the split comedy Becca this the memorable scenes play out with the plenty of the love. The movie emotions the address 51 Ways 25 Stutches and the actor Bronto that they resemble the location show in the film. However, the house interior was filmed on the Bonus Street or New York Street in Universal Studio. Fans of Home Alone can still visit Borstone Street on the Universal Lost which has stated at the same time visit Bronstone Street and they reveal this iconic scenes from Home Alone 2. You will need to make your way to the Universal Studio Hollywood. The park is located at the 100 Universal City Plaza in Universal City, California 900A 168 and is open year-round for the visitor who wish to explore its many attractions and the rides. If you wanted to see the outside of the place feature in the movie and you are in New York Alrenia Plaza in Universal City, California 9,608A and is open year-round for the visitors who wish to explore its many attractions and the ride. If you want to see the outside of the place feature in the movie and you are New York already, take a quick ride from the city center to the 5121 site. You can enjoy the atmosphere of this movie locations there. After defying in the Harry Caven's goes to the famous larger tree and speak it to it admitting that does not deserve a Christmas gift deposit doing a good dad and instead want to take back every mean things he ever said to his family. He asked the tree if he can see his mother and to his surprise she appears quickly. Kevin Master in the Amazon asking how she know he was there. His mother says she know Kevin and his love for the Christmas tree. She appears quickly Kevin matters in the amazing how she know he was there. His mother says she know Kevin and his love for the Christmas trees, so she figured she would find him at the biggest one in these iconic scenes. He is standing behind a massive Christmas tree at the Rockefeller Central in the Manhattan. The giant tree stand as a beacon of hope and the Christmas cheer for the cabin, standing amid the host and the bustles of New York City. The Rockefeller Central features 5 Art Deco blending home to a home of the century most famous stores theaters and the attractions every year since 1933 has been led with the over 3,500 lights and events that usually draw thousands of the visitor to the Rockefeller Plaza each December's. The evening climates which are celebrated firework display and the musical performance from some of Today to Atlantic. The Rockefeller Central is the example by the public. The Rockefeller Center is example by a public transportation between 49 and the 51 Street on the 5th Average. Visit all working visitor can take the MTA subway lines BDFODM to reach the center heart of Rockwell Central stations. Home Alone 2, a Last in New York 1992 is an iconic movie with a great acting script and the idea it shows me messily clanking repairing his role as the Kevin McCallister a self-freed young boy left alone in the city that the Virginia slippers. The movie is full of the comedy moments showcasing that the naughty kids can be resourceful when the needed a brand feels if the film is the obia critters does of the sentimentally with her that portrayals of a bag lady converted in the pegans further changing the overall viewing experience. The success of Home Alone 2 at the box office undoubtedly contributed to the movie industry at the time as it was one of the highest grossing film and the helper to the solidify its place as in the enduring Christmas classic. Audience praise Macaulay Culkin performance commenting on his infections and the humorous delivery a highlight for the many viewers. The incredible film locations well-known landmark Christmas cheer in the bucket full of love turned his movie into a resounding success. Home Alone to Lost in New York. 1992. A standout from the other family film and would make for the interior viewing of the holiday or any additional time of the year. Whatever is your first or the 10th that time watching it, this movie with the undoubtable brings much needed love and the warm moments to entertain everyone. Music. The 1992 review on 20th of November 1992. A 5th Century Fox Universal Home Alone 2. Lost in New York in theaters where it would go to on cross 358 million worldwide. The Hollywood Repeatanza original review. It's below with the John Hughes Home Alone 2. Lost in New York at 20th Century Fox does not have merely a cash cow. It has a cashier with that. The producer Hughes and director Kevin McCallister have robbed up with the Sammy-winning story. Ornaments from the 1998 holiday smash. Repack them in the gleaming Edie and top them with a sparkling lipstick lamix. While Sam's encourage his adult mania that these sequel is merely a supposition of the original kid will be delighted by to keeping all their favorite plots. This Christmas the McClure clan has decided to vacations on the fair to with does not steal well within the traditional minded cabins who cast a dim's eye on the Hollywood tribes to the tropical climes. Once again the fantastic family pre-trips Charles causes Kevin to be the left in the Lords. He accidentally brought the wrong plan. Onya headed for New York while New York has snow and it has the Christmas tree and buy a stock of the handle mixing. Kevin has his hat K and the credit cards like Frank Senorita. Kevin insert taken by a New York. He quickly invites the way into the plaza and the partic sofa the high life room service horror videos once again. The fantastic part of this like Frank Senorita Kevin is taken by New York. He quickly invades the way into the plaza and departs of the high life room service horror videos. On see again the funniest part of Thussy Memories is when Kevin Holdings authority figures most prominently the Hotel Fee concert. The Hotel Fee concert but not all its sword pop and the Sundays in the luxurious suit. The Wet Buddies have escaped and the land is smashed out in the Big Apple. They have adapted their potential still thera professional skills for the times give up on home brangles and set their area eye on the Christmas tales namely the cash reside of a kindly toy store owner who has remarked his holiday take for a children's hospital once again to hard a cabin is the fly in their early on Minda the only obstacle to their the Diestra Deeds building exceptly to a smash car final as Kevin once again concert and the symbol of fake Rio Globertona device divides to though in the to Theobral's Home Alone 2 is a fourth list of their mermaid like the most holiday decorations it's like goofy Kevin give us a sympathetic advice to a harmless bird's a woman but it's sentimental are on the kinda right. Kids willy with the gliata this the traditional stock of the plastic cabin. Michael Outlet has a cartoon is the for so furious and so brutal are his flies with these mini strikes as a director Carissa Columbus has the surely infused Emma with a vi. Crow ties his quietly and the Madams in Paris has good commercials a fan. Clanky is the wisely winning one Sagana as the self-rank alone while the Pesa and the stunts deserve combat medals Toa the Brickles and the slanks they drew. Cree as the force bard conceded is a terrific fault to the Caven Frank Willie Devin Gray as the caving laughing brothers once again it's the partly facency technical contributions for the production into the finance of the holiday shades Sunday Venetians the sentimental and the Ensumtosize of productions design and the John Wilson's irrationally love music and the perfection at dash mean standard originally published on the 16th of November 1992. On 28 November 1992. 20th Century Fox The Unbelievable Home Alone 2 Lost in New York in theaters where it would go on to the gross 558 millions worldwide. Music. The Hollywood Report's original review Isabella with the John Hughes Home Alone 2 Lost in New York 20th Century Folk does not have merely a cash cow, it has a cashier written producer Hughes and a director Cherries Columbus have wrapped up some, snorts. Winning story ornaments from the 1990 holiday smash repackaged them, written producer Hughes and director Jerry's Colombian SF wrap it up to safe winning story ornaments from the 1992 Hollywood from the 1992 Hollywood smash repackaged them in the glamming army and the topa with them are sparking slappist glamix. While some Scottish adults may eggle that the sequel is merely super musicians of the original kit so will be delighted by it, the keeping all their favorite kids will be delighted by it. Keeping all their favorite goodies. The Christmas the McCallisters clan Hassa decide to vacations in the Ferda, which it does not sit well with the traditionally minded cabins who cats are deemed of na the holiday tribes to tropical climax. Once again the fantastic family pre-tribe Essa choice is given to be the left in the lodge. He accidentally ports the wrong plane, one headed for the New York Willie New York has no and it has the Christmas tree and by a store of the handbag mix it up. Kevin has his head that cash. And the credit card senorita. Kevin is taken by the New York. He quickly invades the way into the plaza and the partakes of the high life room service horror videos once again. The funniest part of these life ranks Kevin is taken by the New York. He quickly involves his way into the plaza and the partakes of the high life room service horror videos. Once again, the funniest part of these Top Mermaid is when Kevin Horta wings authority figures most prominently at the hostile Faye concerts. But not all his soda pop and the senders in the luxurious suit the two wet Betty Essa have escapes and the landed smash that in the Big Apples. They have adapted their professional skills for the time Essa given up on home broadly and set their buddies' eyes on the Christmas deals, namely the cash registers of a Kindlia Twice store's owners who has embarked his holiday take for a children hospital. Once again is the fly in their Almeida the only obstacle to their destroyed deaths building exactly to a smash crash of finally as given once again a concert as a symbol of a wicked robber bracker's device to the thought and that through the birds home alone too is the 40 survive mermaid like the most holiday dection is a little gooey cabin gives some pathetic advice to a homeless bird woman's but Ida the sentiments are on the kind side kits a were yellow with the glee at the ridiculous stock of plastic Kevin Smash Nelson Onslaught has a cartoon his for you, so the furies and the so brutal are his Theoblo kind kids will glow with the glee at this redirectional stock ups plastical cabin. Michael's Onslaught has a cartoona is the furious so furious and the so brutals are his flaws. While this Maya strikes some as the Cidics, direct Agerius Columbus has the shortly infusida them with a vile. Crioto is the equality and the main impress as good a commercial fan. Clank is the bridgely winning once again as the self-retalenta kid along. While Bess and the stern does not combat matters to the breaks and Thea slings stay in dress. Creeha's Thea Bucket concert is a traffic fall for Thea cabin pranks while Devon retries as Thea cabin laughing brothers bus once again is the partly of sense. Tactical contributes wrap the production in the finest of the holiday shades. Sanya Vinian sentimental and the Stupidsa production design and the John Wilson Adderley lush music are perfect. Great Mina Danny Briggle published on the 16th of November 1992. Home Alone to New York via looking dawn at the Civic Central Christmas tree after their mayor Richard J. Deli Tren on the light 9th December 1966 Street 8,45582 Chico Sun Times Collection CHM. It's been said a million times the sequel never lives up to the original and while that generally hold true we know the expectations happen there. The particles noteworthy when The Empire Strikes Back was released in 1980 and pushed the boundaries of sci-fi film in a way many thoughts impossibly shattering the present set by its precursor A New Hope. He is similarly Christopher's Nolan the dark and nine-eyed made crowd fall in the Lovia and the appreciate villains just the match have more in the relightly forgettables word of Hollywood film sequels Home Alone 2 Lost in New York pools. No pushies compared to its brave success. Standing as a Christmas movie slaps, released on November 20, 1992. Home Alone 2, Lost in New York is the sequel to 1990 iconic holiday box office hit. Home Alone when it opened at the Shudder, the record for the largest November opening weekend with a more $31 million is the review and would go on to gross just over $100 million in 3 weeks. It would ultimately rank as the third highest grossing film of the 1992. The film takes all the antique and hygienics that made the first ahead and amps them up to the next level with the love of Scavin Cluster played by the Emily Clank outrun innings. The film takes all the antiques and the hygienic that made the first a hit and amps them up to the next level with the love caving McCluster played by the McCluclanics outrunning and the outsmarting his the reels. The wet beds after being sprouted from his the Familia and the accidentally landing in New York inside of the Ferreta for the Familia holiday vacations but the wild cabin Maya have landed in New York. His film was set inside the universe of the letter directors John Hughes which the often meant one thinks if it could be set at the film and the Chico it would be so with a bite of the Hollywood camera magic and set design. Even the canny nuzza of the Observer ticked into Thea blink that gave Love Sturbance Finta and went 800 mile east to the Big Apple. Allah thought a good amount of the film was shot on set in its studio of the Mosta iconic scenes were still cleverly filmed in the Chico. Some of the earliest scenes in the movie were filmed in Thea Vinta and the event stand set at the near O'Hara International Airport. Thea Airport actually returns later in Thea film serving as the double for a John F. Kennedy International Airport in Thea, Queens, where Kevin was altered that he had once again been spreaded from his family. O'Hara International Airport Nua International TR on the day of it Thea ribbon cutting ceremony 27 May 1993 A Street. Music A300024602918 Chico Times Collection While Kevin luxuriously at the Plaza Hotel in the New York features the hotel lobby and the exit so his iconic penthouse, so it was Thea actually located in other hotels that lumps large in the go history. Thea Stigo on the South Maganza originally named the Stevens Hotel Thea Hello Birds in the Row Design Building opened its door in the 1927 and it was known as a city with a city due to Ida the near endless animation and 3,000 a guest room. At the time it was believed it to be the world's largest hotel. Thea business would eventually be acquired by a hotel maintained Crown Ryden and he would remain the building after him to highlight the importance of Thea building. Kevin using his dad credit card grad himself into the hotel card a suit also named after the man himself. The pool scene featuring poorly flirting a swim trunks for the film as Estonia throwaway at the Four Seasons Hotel in the Deliver Place. The Stephen Hotel now the hidden Zalonia McGaina in the 1927 Ake McCoverman and the for photography scene no excuses use scenes no exist to the Chico in New York is it completely without some shopping den toy cheese capture every okay dreams by these stories the magic behind the din was created in top parts. The story executors belong to Thea Historical Burn Home and the route to design rockery buildings on the South L Street in the Lob. Meanwhile the Staria Inn was crafted by making use of a North Side movie place. The iconic Uptown Theaters originally owned by the Bad and Ithacatas Movie Con. The theatre luxurious interior was the meant to Thea mimic that of the place of the Vilsa and was one of the first buildings of its size to have air conditions throughout. It's when the theatre presents everything from the silent movie and the vendor show to the major acts like The Prince and the Boo. Ida closed its door in the 1981. Waterlex Savoy Given was to be inside, extends to the Rocky Building to 209A South Elsie Streets July 30, 1957. Finally in what was perhaps the most created use of the Chico landmark to Thea outside his location in New York. Kava bird's eye viewing of the Orta performance or comes on all ye faithful against make a convincing and we hada ergo better looking double of the Coinga Hall by using the Chico samples semi-essential on the corner of the Maganza Average in the Adams Street in the Lofa as the performing space many god men regard with the Chico Asapan or jets on the performance stage at the Orchards Hell 220s MiG 8 June 1966 8 Today both Home Alone film continued to be declared glasses the Hilton Hotel where the cabin stay even offer at the Amos Stay simply titled the cabin package with the allow guestie to stay in the concern suits as alive at their home long dreams personal cheese pizza including a for those looking to real life even more nasty. Music every December to market the holiday Easy Street Pizza in Thea nearby Park Ride transform into Thea Little Near Pizza. The functional restart from the first installment of Fat the Frenchies were no less than 10 pizza or orders at a cost of the $92.50 million in 1990 address from Thea Inflection that would be $281.12 million. Home Alone to Lost in New York. Lost in New York. I have a feeling that a Home Alone to Lost in New York is going to be an enormous box office success that included me out. I did not much like the first film and I did not much like this one which is Siddick's title a hero while mercilessly hammers to a couple of fat slow learning crocs nor did I enjoy the shameless attempt to relieve the meme by included a perplot about the pagans lady of the Central Park call me hard or call me Siles but the police don't call me if they may call Melonia 3. Music I know the volume essa is all a jog. Some of the gags area lifted directly from the old Kola era cartoons. And in the Speedword area looking at their rounder adventure with the Crocs playing the role of the wild Etta as the two helpless mobs fall down a leaders and they get slammed by Thea brackets and the 500 pounds bags of Thea cements and the crowded with the glue, and the paint and color cartoons and it's the spring walls we are looking at there are water runner adventures with the Crocs planning the role of the Waita Ikoto at the two helpless mobs falling down ladies and the get slammed by the brasa and the 500 pounds bags of the cement and the covered with the glue and the joinsa and the bed seat you can hear the clink of cake over the odd Looney Tunes heroine the background and just like in the cartoon and the Crocs are never really hurt, they bounce back, dust themselves on, bend their bones back into the shape and they are ready for the next adventure. When the little Kevins turn them, he sound like the Bugs Bunny, and when they kisses him, they are in the traditional of the Elmer. Most of the live action attempts to a duplicated animation have failed because when flesh and the blood figures hit the apparent, we can almost hear the Bonds grind. It is the funny take, for example the scenes in Home Alone 2 where Kevin hilarious the Croc into trying to travel down a rope from the top of a Fury Staria townhouse. He was sacked to the Robin of the Korean scenes and when they area halfway down he sets it on the fire. Ho ho. The movie repeats the formula of the best-selling original film. Once again caving forgetfully family leaves home without him. Once again caving for family leaves home without him. He gets on the plane to New York instead of Thea Mammy. And once again they while he'd sadly, while reward he cracks into Thea Plaza Hotel on his dad credit card and has time for the heartwarming convention with a kindly all to the shop owners and a homeless bird lovers. Not to mention a Donald Trump's before running into his the hold enemies the Crocs and dine restaurants when he discovers they plan to rob the story recept and the distancia for a children hospital. He has his work cut out from him messing with the kids on the Christmas avi that's going to for the kid outsmart the usual ornament of the slicious replica design for a children hospital. He has his work cut out from him, messing with kids on the Christmas Savia that going to for the kid outsmart. The usual allotment of the Subishis Ajita included Hotel Klimkri before Thea setting a series of the engine's traps for the Croc as before he seems to have the complete command of all the handmedia skills included rejoined ladder and Thea rank applications for the electrical shocks, music, and of course he find out all the props he need even for Thea riding the exploding toilet and Thea setting that the slap gun to the fiery through the keyhole and between Thea painful particles jog. There he is the teachy relationship with the frankly as the pagan's lady who show him for a headway inside the selling off. In between the painful particles dogs there is the track relationship with the frackers as the piggle lady will show him her the headway inside the sense of the car shell Christmas carol smell from the concern blow as Thea and he mounts letter raps lecture Thea old lady on the meaning of it if he believes half of what he says he ought to give the Crocs a break in is a childrena movie. I convince I do not know. Millions of the kids will go to see it. There used to be movie where it is bought for little kids to hurt ground ups. Now and bounce back off there the skulsa from the rooftop and the everybody loves. The question is not whenever Thea movie will escape the children in Thea audience and whatever the adults will be able to peek between their the fingers. Movie will seen the children in Thea audience in whatever the adult will be able to peek between their fingers. Everyone has their own Home Alone too. There are a spot on the Central Park Mall just north of the state of Thea observe Parts Creek how where people tend to express and the intense feeling of a view even if they are never been to New York before. They look around trying to purpose there the surrounding then after a beat the penny drops. Music this is where they film what filmina that the blank depend on the how holy you are and whatever you are real maybe it's the grammar with the grandma Arabad and the mans but it could be the producer night at the museum's breakfast TV or the countless other filmata the northern drums of mall is the bath a horse trace a setting for the filmasa they deserve event Harry Matsis Risa Godspell Hall and the dozens musing breakfast atrophy or the countless other film at the northern ends of the mall is the beta dress setting cutting from the film A Deserve as Weena Harry Met C Reasons God Spell Any Halla and the dozens more, but not the TV show Friends. Stop Singing Friends. Each of Favies me whatever ground in the greedy realism on the included fights of Thea Fancy captures something essential about the New York film, perhaps better than any other medium, as a unique ability to both freeze time, presuming or sometimes fall errands past, and they act as a touchstone for our own emotional and the memories. Take Home Alone to the classical holiday movie with many scenes set in the Central Park. Even people we have near been to New York City have a stronger connection to the park in part. Central Park. Even people we have never been to New York City have a strong connection to the park in part because of the film's central characters Kevin McCallister, played by the McClagland, and his Thea relationship with the park dabbing bigger lady Brenda Figgles. In one scenes, Gavina hiddens from the inept criminal Dewey Harry and the mouth, Passy and the diner strengths by hopping in a trunk on the back of a handsome Gap at the Psydia tracks as the so-called Sticky Bennets of formerly the Wet Bandits search for Omaha. Cav is the pull away towards Bobo rides and the Cherry Hill. The problema with the scene is that Horse D did not circle the fountain at the Psydia dress, which was the design to be a central projections gathering spot in the park when people visit to resort a Home Alone to vacant the dark under press. The problem with that scene is that Horse does not circle the function at the Psy drags, which was designed to be a central possession gathering spot in the park when people visit to recreate Home Alone 2. They can't the dark unpressed where the biggest lady lives. It was filmed on a soundstage in a covered title club in the elevations of Home Alone 2. Music was a child idea of New York sing retries, and the actor and the almost native New Yorkers will play caving all day brothers bus in the city to Home Alone to film. There was not much reality, but there was the greatest white story in the world in the film, and a Central Park in the street a walker that was scary at night. He adds that the escape to what New York meant to the many non-New Yorkers. I know families that have planned Home Alone 2 Christmas vacations. They come to New York and see all the sides of the Home Alone. In doing so, that the fancy because of the popularity of the movie becomes somewhat of a reality. Recently I met up with the retry on the Upsetter website. Whatever he likes and whatever them functional uncles rope reside in the film, we spent the day working out way down to a visiting sites associated with the Home Alone 2, ended the talking about impact the film had in the city, and on retried was had just started high school when the first Alarma movie was released, and the first film quickly become a box office pin, changing his life absolutely totally completely in more way than I was aware and have become aware of. As he walked and he talked, our conversations continued to trend back to the same question: and how has New York changed in the nearly 30 years since Home Alone 2 was released, and what role do movie like his play in helping us understand a version of New York that it is no longer with us? Home Alone 2 and Home Alone 2 were both written by the John Hughes Big Fast Club of Fury Bell's Day and directed by Chris Columbus. Let her know for everything from Mr. Doubtful to the first Harry Potter's film. The first film was a box. Home Alone 2 and Home Alone were both written by the John Hughes, The Breakfast Club Furious Dia, and directed by the Cherry LaFora. The everything from the Mr. D Fire to the first two Harry Potter films. The first film was a box office smash, but one that had mostly passed me by. It probably was not until a network television started regards the holiday season's broadcast on Thea thinking 1995 that I saw it for the first time. Virtual do movie play in Thea, helping us understand a versions of New York that it is no longer with us. Thea plot is a vacations one on Thea original just before Christmas. The McCallisters family. Music who life in disturbance. Chico leaves for the vacation, this time inside of Theo's youngest son Kevin being wing stand out of Home Alone. He makes it to O'Hara with the death of the family, but mistakenly aborts the wrong plan and ends up flying it to the LaGuardia. The sequel then Thea airfish out of the water elements store this plastic of the original. When Nia first met pre-ride, I have been working as a tour guide for a number of years, so I was more familiar with the Home Alone 2, and it was a guide that the IA discover how much clutter currency the Home Alone series has. When I first made a retreat, I have been ranking as a toy guide from a number of years, so I have more familiar with the Home Alone 2, and it was as a guide that I discover how much culture our Home Alone 2 series has. The 1890s saw many versions of the Fish Out of the Water, then set in New York, starting with a splash featuring a little fish out of the water, and included Coming to America, The Impatha and the Big, but with expectations of the warning to know about the big giant Zapato at the Fowl. No one ever asked about those other film inside. I would feel questions from the victors like, does Donald Trump still on the plaza? Is the pig lady based and the actual person who is the Denon toy chest? People would sometimes mention the character has a particles loyal fun Bazzy, but since her has scenes mostly take place outside the city, those parts of the movie had not resembled. Still only a plaza is the bigger lady base and the actual person, whereas the Denon toy chest people would something mention the character has a particles loyal film base, but since his scenes mostly take place outside the city, those part of the movie had not embedded themselves very deeply in my mind. When I rewatched Home Alone 2 recently, what struck me was not the spectacle, the bigger CD or more retreat, as well also what the recollections of how much the sigil has the transform in an early draft of the script. Very little is done to say the scenes upon Kevin arrival in New York. He briefly visits the Empire State Building, then checks into a suite at the functional Kit Tower Hotel. By the time the film went into the production, Duck Einstein had been replaced by Thea Blaze and the Empire in New York. He briefly visits the Empire State Building, then the checks into a suite at the functional Kit Tower Hotel. By the time the film went into the production, the case stones had been replaced by the plaza and the Empire State Building was replaced by a Home State of New York City slide. In the sequence, Kevin is the driving actress, a queen brick in a checker cab. He heads to Radio City to snap pictures on his Toyota camera. He then goes to the Empire dinner in the Clash before buying a firework in the Cantown at Coinyanga and the CO in the presenting to the Battery Park to look at the state of the library, though, music, and the old-fashioned telescope. Almost everything in that the most imdigorn the telescope were the reco years ago. The last checker cap stop crying fear in the 1999 flow a right job manufacturing films. Almost everything in that the most stage ice gone. The power telescope were removed years ago. The last checker cap stop carrying the fears in the 99 flew I stop a manufacture film for its original Instanta camera in the 2008 when the tourist Bron christens in the wake of the 9A over 1 coin Yunxing and the Coina business since 1891 closed down. Top Busa holiday box office. The overall 5-day box office hotel was close to 138 million. Easily beating the 108 million mark set during the 989A Thanksgiving weekend and setting the stiffer for what could be even a strongest thanks Christmas holiday season. As the last year, the best teen of the history, Home Alone 2, which opened with a 3-day gross of 31.1 million last weekend, nearly duplicated that number with $28.6 million for the Friday to a Sunday period that brought its 10-day total of the $74 million. The 20th Century Fox release back by ended the 100% marketing campaign, and the goodwill from the 1990 original has a good shot at topping $200 million in a domestic gross. The original took in the 20th Century Fox release backed by ended the 100% marketing campaign, and the goodwill from the 90 and the goodwill from the 1990 original has a good shot at the topping $200 million in the domestic gross. Music. The original took in the $285 million, making it the third biggest movie of all time that needed 23 days to remake it. The first 75 million a 1,131 screen during the 5-day holiday period. So after setting records during a 2-screen run, that total was well above the $50.5 million recording a opening for an animated film set last year by the studio Beauty and the Beast and industry productions of $20 million. We are way ahead of what we accepted, said Richard Cook, head of the Destiny Distributions arm. The opening weekend success of the Aladdin is nothing short of the extraordinary. The movie appears headed from a strongest gross because of its ability to track some movie gods well beyond its scary audience audience of children and should grossest show ever around the $145 million. A Home Alone to deliver just one of Thea's survival remarkable performance. Destiny must praise animated Aladdin to Thea $25.1 million adjusted just 1,131 screens during the 5-day holiday period after setting record during a screens run. That total was well above the $50.5 million record opening for an animated film says last year by Thea Studio Beauty and the Beast and industrial projections of the $20 million. We are way ahead of what we accepted, said Richard Cook, head of Destiny distribution arm. The opening weekend success of Aladdin is nothing short of the extraordinary. Home Alone 2 delivered just one of Thea's survival remarkable performance. Destiny Mush Prize animated Aladdin took $25.1 million at just 1,131 screens during the 5-day holiday period after setting records during a 2-screen run. That total was well above the $50.5 million record opening for an animated film set last year's by the Studio Beauty and the Beast and industry projections of the $20 million. We are way ahead of what we accepted, said Richard Cook, head of Destiny Distribution's arm. The opening weekend success of Aladdin is nothing short of the extraordinary. The movie appears head for a stronger gross because for its ability to track a movie course will be on its Korea audience of children and should grow some fears around the $145 million that the beauty took in. Cook said about 800 screens will be added on the 18th of December. Reigning a close third over Thea weekend was the opening of the Water Bros Remains action film, The Bodyguard, with the $24.40 $4 million 1,770 screens deposit being hammered by Thea many citizens. The star power of Thea cabin coasters and the pop singer's host in her film debut should it enable Bodyguard to top $60 million by Thea Christmas. The trio of the top movie is likely to head the box office again next weekend since the only new film's opening will be Destiny, adding Murphy close to the wishing comedy Thea Distincts Gentleman at about 190 screens. Murphy has not had a major hit scene as compared to America. Hit this film have performed a comedy The Distance Gentleman at the about 100-900 screens. Murphy has not had a major hit since coming to America, but in this film have performance a respectable. Columbia brand Strokers Dola leading in the 4th place with a steely healthy 5-day gross of the $40 million at the 200-day. It's the 70-day gross past $70 million. It should fly past $120 million by the Christmas. Columbia brand Stalkers Dola leading in the 4th place with a still healthy 5-day gross of the $40 million at the 2491 screens, noting it's the 70-day gross past $70 million. It should fly past $120 million by the Christmas. Warner Epic Malcolm X finished 5th with a solid $100.5 million stick at the 1,249 screen, pushing it the 12-day total close to the $27 million. It is not yet clear whatever X will show in AU's strength in the coming weeks. Strength in the coming week to justify it the $35 million price tag, but it has posted a decent number so far, giving it the $20 minutes running time. Warner Passengers 57 movie into the 6th place with the $5.3 million at the 1,00859 screens during the holiday weekend for a 24 days total of the $33.20 $2 million, followed by Columbia River runs through it with a still solid $4.1 million at the 1,080 screens. River, which has received high praise from the citizen, has now turned it $28 million. Warner's Passengers 57 move into the 6th place with the $5.3 million at the $1,854 screens during the holiday weekend for a 24 days total of the $33.20 $2 million, followed by the Columbia River yaw through it with a still solid $4.1 million 1,008 screens. A River, which had received high praise from the citizens, has now dropped $28 million in Crossing 3 fall hits at the Maya have helped fuel the current success of the box office, rounded out of the top 10. A Warner and Psych huge on the $3.7 million at the $1.560 screens for a 52 days gross of more than $72 million for the last of the Mackensa took in the $2 million $1.178 screen for a 10 weeks gross of the $68 million, and Destiny Ho comedy The Maya deck gross $1.60 $6 million for a for 9-week total of the $44.40 for a million. Mere crying game, a Terraracia thrilling set in the northern land Ireland. Garbage of a whooping a 142 a 45 a Jackson 6 screen in GM 5th a weekend of the steamy romance. The Lover, a set in the Vietnam in the 1999 kept up some heat with a 372.489 a 489 a at just 33 screens. The studio may go a widers with the period piece before the end of the year. Weekend cross screens a total gross vegan in the release. Number 4. Passengers 57 and sites are the estimates. 1 Home Alone 2 Lost in New York $39 a million 2,231 a $74.20 $2 million 2 years to Aladdin $25.1 a million 1,131 a $25.8 million 3 weeks of The Bodyguard $24.40 million 77 a 1 week of The Bodyguard $24.40 $4 million 77 a 1 week for Bram Stoker Tacula $40 million 2,491 a $70 million 3 weeks McCollum $11.5 a million 1,249 a $26.9 million 2 weeks. Music, Passenger 575.3 a million 1,854 a $33.20 $2 million 4 weeks. A River Runs Through Its $4.1 million $1,0808 $28.3 million 8 weeks. Snorts a underska $3.7 million $1,560 a $72.4 million 8 weeks. The Last of the McCons $2 a million 1,1756 a million 10 weeks. The Mighty Ducks $1.6 a million $1,481 a $44.9 million 9 weeks. On 20 November 1992. 20th Century Fox Universe Home Alone to Lost in the New York Kino theaters, while it would go on to gross $358 million worldwide. The Holiday Report's original review is below with at the John Hughes Home Alone 2, Lost in a New York. 20th Century Fox does not have merely a cash cow, it has a cash cow written. Producer Hughes and the director Karis Columbus have the wrap up with the same winning story ornaments from the 1990 holiday smash. Repackage them in the glamming area and the topa with a sparking slapstick glammix Willie Sam storage adult mini girls. That hits the sequel is merely a superposition of the original. Kids will be the delight to buy it, keeping all their favorite tag goodies. The Christmas McCluster's Clanna has decided to vacations in the Fairtaw, which does not set well with the traditional mining cabin who cast a demon on the holiday tribes to tropical climes. Once again the fantastic Familia Pride trips chooses causes sing to be the left in the lodge. He accidentally abots the wrong plan when headed for the New York, where New York has snow and it has this mystery and buy stock of the handbag mix-up. Kevin has his dad Kasha and the credit cards. Like Frank Sinatra, Kevin is the taken by New York. He quickly invites the way into the plaza and the partakes of the high life room service horror videos. Again, the funniest part of this the measurement is when Kevin Hoodie wings Hoodie fingers most the prominently Thea Hotel for the mostly prominently Thea Hotel Concessa while it's soda pop, and the sadness is the luxurious suits the two wet buddies have escaped and they landed smash tab in the Big Apple. They have adapted their professional skills for the times, giving up on Homeplace and set their barely on the Christmas steals, namely the Kazi resides of a kindly Toy Story of an adult who has embarked his holiday takia for a children hospital once again to a hit cabin. It's the fly in their eye and the only obstacle to their tested sting exactly to a smash crash final as given a once again concerta and the assemble of the wicked Drobia Goldberg draw device to thought and Thea Hawks the bro glass. Home Alone 2 is a fourth stride measurement like the Mazda holiday detections its little goofy cabin's home sympathetic device to a homeless bad woman. but at the sentiments arrow. In the kind a kid will why with the galley at the traditional stock cups practice a kid will yellow with the galley at the star relational stock cups platix kevinum clonslot has a cartoon it's the force of furies and so brutal are his flaws with this may strike some as the statics director Christmas has the surely infuse them with the wild ecodo the quiddy and the mama has good commercial fun. Clunk is the brightly winning once again as the self-retelling kid alone while the Pasicanda the stern deserve combat medals.